All right, so there's this recent movie that came out. You're all aware of it. It's breaking all the records, dude. It's like it reached, I think, $1 billion in 2 weeks. No, the first week actually. It's breaking weekend records. It's definitely the movie that made the most money over the whole of the pandemic.
Titanic.
It's getting.
Or was it Avatar?
It's a movie you're all aware of, and it's Nightmare Alley.
I think you're wrong on all counts.
All right, so we watched Nightmare Alley, which
We're
is
one of
bombed.
We're one of 6 people that have seen it, and it's phenomenal. It's such a good movie.
It's so good, and it is made, I think, last time I looked,
$4 in a candy wrapper.
yeah, like less than $10 million, and it's sad.
Such a good movie.
They've actually, what I read was they're actually canceling admissions to Nightmare Alley because they're bringing in Spider-Man, which that
was planning fault where they're like, oh, we'll release this at the same
Oh,
time.
yeah. Who was the guy that was like, we'll release Nightmare Alley the same weekend as the biggest movie of the year?
I think it was a weekend prior. Or was it the same weekend?
It was the same damn weekend.
What an idiot.
I believe.
What a moron. Who the hell? I hope that guy got fired.
Right? I'm pretty darn sure it was the same weekend.
Even the same month. Like, just wait a month. Let the hype die out.
It was the same weekend because we actually went and saw Nightmare Alley on Wednesday. It was an early showing. It came out wide that Thursday.
Yes, okay, you're right.
Yeah, that Thursday, which was early showings for Spider-Man, No Way Home. And then that following Wednesday, we saw Kingsman. So, yeah. Which we're going to do reviews of all those.
Oh, I have a lot to say about that movie.
So, Nightmare Alley. It's Guillermo del Toro. He wanted to do a gothic film noir, and this is not a remake of the old movie. According to him, this is his interpretation of the book.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, let us in on that. You said...
Okay, so I did a little research on it. I have never read the book, so let me preface. I've never read the book. I've never watched the old film.
Either have I.
But I was fascinated by this movie, and so after the fact, so again, biased again because I've already seen the movie, I went back and I did a lot of research on both the book and the
old movie.
The old movie.
Which had Tyrone Power.
Yes. That said, this film followed the plot of the old movie more than it did the book.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting because, I mean, that's, according to that, whatever article I read there, he said it was like, well, I'm just going to follow, like, I don't want people to, this is not a remake of that. This is my own thing.
But I will say, the stuff that he took from the movie, rather than from the book, are improvements.
Okay.
Because there are spots where the book seems to have fallen short. It's great. Everything I've read, all of the critics agree. Wonderful book. The old movie, wonderful movie. He took basically the best from both.
That's fair.
And threw it all in a pot, mixed it together, and made this movie. And then added his own stuff to it, too. He changed a lot from both. And it turned out great. It really... Honestly, I am so jazzed about how cool this movie was. I love stuff with, like, carnivals and circuses and stuff. Just...
Well, you were saying... with...
The Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman, that this is sort of like the underbelly version, whereas like the Greatest Showman...
This is the dark, gritty flip side to the same coin that is the Greatest Showman, where the Greatest Showman, it's, we're in a carnival! Woo! Isn't it great?
It's
where the other side
is...
the other side is, we're in a carnival.
And everything sucks!
Everything sucks ass, and I want to die.
We need money, or, we're not going to survive.
Yeah, the Greatest Showman. Exploitation! Woo! This one is like exploitation.
Yeah, where it's just like, so actually that goes right into Willem Dafoe being the...
you ever say it like that?
The geek. That's how he said it in that old video I sent you.
Man.
Willem Dafoe. And I went, huh.
So, before we get that, I got a job for you. That's only temporary.
Oh. Yeah?
Just until we get a real film critic.
Oh, okay. This movie was a it's not 3 hours, but it was definitely a slow burn to where there was times when I did feel
Yes.
the length. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
The content of the movie, though, it had, like, okay, there were times that it was slow. There were times that it slogged. We went late at night on a weekday, like we had work the next day, so we were tired. That was a disservice to the film for us, but it was cool. We got to see it. We got to see it in a great theater, you know, not a ton of people in there.
Yeah, I think it was a 7 o'clock.
Something like that.
Maybe 6 other people there because it was oddly enough, this theater they'll do like early showing before the early showing. And, you know, we're just now getting to the review of it, but, I mean, that's life. That's life.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a slow burn.
Definitely a slow burn, but the
That paid off.
the moments when this movie hits a high, it soars. And even the low parts, the slow parts, are interesting. There was not a moment in this movie where I felt like, oh my god, is this movie still going? But there were definitely moments where it was like, this is a long movie. You get to the halfway point and they bring in...
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett. It feels like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It feels like, okay, it's cool, our protagonist, everything's paid off, he's made it. And then they bring in Kate Blanchett, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is the climax of the movie. Why are they bringing in, like, this A-list actor and this close to the end for just a cameo? And then I'm like, oh crap, we're probably only halfway through.
Well, and then it was that point that I remembered. I'm like, oh yeah, she's in this movie, which means we got like a whole another half of this thing to go.
This is a movie where it's a great example where it's like 2 movies put together almost.
Okay, I can see that.
Another example for anybody who's a theater nerd watching these, Into the Woods, or even Peter Jackson's King Kong.
That's 3 movies.
Yes,
You're on the island. Or,
Right.
I'm sorry, no, you're in New York for like an hour.
For an
and
hour.
he even basically said that.
Then you're on the island.
Yeah,
and
you're
back
in
to New York.
And then New York, which you just skip New York. Everything on the island is freaking amazing. Anyway.
What I was saying with that, though, like with Into the Woods, it's the same thing where it's... The first half is you set the stage, and then everything's good, and you get a happy ending to the halfway point. You get to halftime, everybody's happy, everything's paid off, and it's all good. To the point that actually a lot of schools that put on Into the Woods only do the first half.
Really?
Because the second half, much like this movie, is where all of our heroes fly too close to the sun and come crashing down and everything's awful. You get a resolution at the end of that one where it's at least a semi-happy ending, but this one you do not get a happy ending. Holy crap. You get what is called poetic justice, and I love it.
Poetic justice.
Where it's, this guy's a dirtbag and he's going to get a dirtbag ending.
And so the film noir aspects of this was definitely a neo-noir.
Yeah.
That you could tell Guillermo knows film noir. He loves film noir. I mean, they even have the part where I was like, he needs to run away from the cops. And he needs to run away, try to get out of the city.
Yeah.
Or it's not a film noir. Well, he does that.
Mm-hmm.
And, Kate Blanchett is like the femme fatale. She's just amazing. The entire time you're waiting on her every word, like,
dude, just the way she crosses her legs in that movie. It was like, I would let her ruin my life too.
Yeah, I mean, like Bradley Cooper, I get it.
Like you said, it was first thing that came out of your mouth when we were leaving the theater. She just keeps getting hotter. She is
basically,
she's so good. She's such a good actress. She's amazing.
Yeah, and then everybody did well.
Everybody did great. Yeah, everybody was perfectly cast in this movie. Even the people who had the smaller roles, like Willem Dafoe or Ron Perlman, they had smaller roles.
Yeah, what was what's the woman? Not Kate Blanchett, but the other one that he falls the love interest.
Oh,
I can't remember the actress's name. I'll tell you what. I have the girl with the dragon tattoo. Oh, Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara, yeah.
Yeah, which you would not expect. I didn't think that was the obvious choice because she's sort of more of like an innocent and naive kind of character. And she usually plays like, the woman with the dragon tattoo where it's like kicking ass and she's doing the journalistic thing and all this kind of stuff.
It really showed she's a great actress. It worked.
Yeah.
Able to play both sides. That was awesome.
And it did really, the twists and turns did kind of keep me going. Like, I didn't completely anticipate I mean, if you've seen enough film noir and you know that kind of formula, you could probably guess, I guess, where it's going. But it kept me going.
You know that it's going to go bad.
You know it's going to go bad, as film noir always does. So it.
This does not have a happy ending.
No, but like you said, poetic justice.
Poetic justice. It has a very just ending.
It's a feast for the eyes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of weird stuff in it. Guillermo del Toro has a weird fascination with this alien, or not an alien. I'm sorry,
fetus in a jar. Yeah,
this.
It looks like an alien.
This very alien-esque looking. That's
just a fetus in a jar.
Willem Dafoe has a collection of these like deformed babies.
Yeah, he's got this
jars.
Freak show collection where it's like a bunch of fetuses and stuff in jars. And Enoch.
Yeah,
Enoch
they keep pulling up to one because it has like a third eye or something.
Yeah,
and I think that's supposed
stitches
to be
all down the middle.
But I think that too was sort of that. It goes with that sort of sense of, I guess, dread the entire movie, where you're like, oh, this is gonna.
Well, he even says if you're standing in the right place, the eye follows you, and it felt like it was watching.
It's almost like that's like the God view of everything.
Yeah.
That there's greater forces at work here, and everyone's being watched. And
yes,
and it will be poetic justice.
It showed the dark, dingy, gross, slimy side of the carny lifestyle. The carnival workers, where it's just a bunch of shysters all teaming together to try and make a buck.
They're all terrible people.
They're all. It's not even that they're really terrible people. It's that they're the outcasts of society. It's the people who they don't fit in anywhere. So it's a collection of misfits and ne'er-do-wells. They're just trying to do something with their life.
Well, Willem is a terrible person.
Oh, Willem Dafoe's character is garbage. He's such a bad person. Which let's actually touch on that.
Yeah.
So the old movie, and the book all start with our main character.
What was his name? I really can't remember. Bradley Cooper's character.
Carney McPsycho.
Carney Mc archetype. Well, no. Okay, he's the film noir archetype.
Yeah.
To the max. So the guy's got dark secrets. You know, he can beat the crap out of you, and he does beat the crap out of some people.
Punches guy's nose in.
There's like a dark...
It's awesome.
He's pulling teeth out of his...
Yeah, punches a guy's nose in.
I was like...
He gives him an innie nose.
Well, that's the other thing, too. If you're going to do a quick summary of this whole movie, it's like, a guy falls on hard times, he goes to a carnival and learns how to lie to people and make them believe that he's reading
a mentalist,
reading his mind, gets tricked by a really hot woman, and then punches the guy's nose off. And there you go. That's the whole movie.
So all three iterations start with him watching what's called a geek show. A geek show was an actual thing back in the day with the traveling freak shows. They would get some bum or homeless person, or just somebody who was willing to do it, throw them in a pit with a bunch of chickens. The guy would chase the chickens, much to the adoration of the crowd, catch them, and then bite their heads off and swallow them. It was an actual thing that they did. It was called a geek show.
So this was based on real life?
Based on real life. That stuff happened. And all three kind of start with that, and him kind of commenting to himself, how could somebody ever get that low?
How could you get that low?
How could you get that low? And we learn very quickly through Willem Dafoe's character, who's like the keeper of the geek and the freak show, that basically, because he's asked, how do you find a geek? And he says, well, you don't find a geek, you make one. You find a bum that's, on the outskirts of town, somebody who's homeless, somebody from Nightmare Alley, which is where the title comes from, that they're just down on their luck, usually an alcoholic, or they're high on opium or something like that. And you just say, hey, I got a job for you. It's only temporary until we find a real geek. And then you pay them in liquor, and then you add a few drops of opium to the liquor. They're on cloud nine. This is the best booze ever. And then you take it all away from them, and you say, okay, I'm sorry, you're faking it. Because they would give, in the book, he says, you give them a razor blade, let them cut the head off, and pretend to drink the blood.
Oh, he was given a weapon in the book.
Mm-hmm. And so then, later on, they say, well, you're faking it, and it's not good enough. We need to find somebody who'll
they
actually
just
do
dump
it.
you in an alley.
They dump you in an alley.
Dump you right back in that alley.
They'll come back and they'll be like, I'll do it. And then that's where you reach. So basically, it's, wow, that's monstrous. It's horrible. How could anybody ever get that low? And the whole movie culminates in our main character going through everything, getting knocked on his ass. He becomes an alcoholic. He becomes a homeless bum in an alley. He goes to try and find work, ends up at another carnival, and says, hey, I'd like to be a mentalist for you guys. And the guy's like, no, man, I can't, nobody's looking for that stuff anymore. Before you go, though, let's have a drink, just carny to carny. I might have a job for you. It's only temporary, though. Just until we find a real geek. You know what a geek show is? And then he just starts laughing. And laughing. Yeah, he starts laughing and crying and just hysterical. And he just goes, I was born for it. And then the movie ends! And you're like...
Then it ends.
Whoa!
Well, you and me in the theater were like, he goes into the room. I'm not thinking about this at all. He reveals that he does have the alien baby.
Yeah, he has Enoch there.
Enoch is there, and he noticed, Bradley Cooper's character notices and looks over at him and does that like...
Well, he even says, like, yeah, I got it from an old, like, washed-up carny.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then he goes, he said that it killed his mother on childbirth, and he goes, Enoch, and he's like, oh, that's a great name for it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, oh, no, how many times did that happen along the path?
Yeah. So it's like fate.
Yeah.
Again, following him almost. Sort of in a weird,
vicious circle.
Disturbed way, yeah.
Now, the end of this one, that just ends there. The end of the book, it sort of ends there too. The movie, the film noir back in the day, ends with his girlfriend who he made run away. He actually tells her, go, here, take the money and run, in the book and the film. In the old film.
Oh.
And this one, he pisses her off and she runs away. So in the old movie, the old movie, turns out she's working there and they kind of have a little weird, messed up relationship there. So it's kind of a semi-happy ending. This is not a happy ending in the new movie. Don't go into this expecting to feel warm and fuzzy after this movie. The only warm and fuzzies you'll get is thinking about how hot Cate Blanchett is.
And also wondering why this film was released the same weekend that the biggest movie of the year was released. We knew it was going to be big. And it was. And it is. So this movie got completely, thrown under the carpet.
And it's such a shame because it's such a good, just messed up, but amazing movie.
And it comes from Guillermo del Toro, who we won Best Picture for, The Shape of Water.
Yes.
I thought Pacific Rim was great. That was another movie that was kind of like, came out of nowhere, but was surprisingly good for me anyway. I
Pan's
really
Labyrinth is amazing.
Pan's Labyrinth is fantastic.
The Hellboy movies are a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, he did those too. I mean, he does the gothic fairy tale. That's what he wants. I mean, he even managed to get ghosts. Oh, well, he did Crimson Peak. I love Crimson Peak. I mean, and he manages to put in these supernatural elements, these like ghosts and whatever, and even managed to throw them in here. Not only with the alien baby, but with people. Like, oh, you can bring people back from the dead at the end. And it's like, oh, you think
do a spook show.
Think real carefully.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff, and
in the book, he actually dives right into that. Like that's what he makes his traveling show. He's actually
he goes right into that.
Reverend so and so is what he goes by. Like
okay,
yeah, he goes straight into that.
I'm curious to see the original one. The original one is actually on the Criterion channel.
Okay,
You just subscribe to that. I have it. It's great. It's a subscription service, and you get all those old movies.
I'll have to watch that together.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that, and I'm really curious. Tyrone Power did what he did. One of the original Zorros.
He did all kinds of stuff.
He did what is it? Black Swan.
Yes,
it was a pirate film, which is fantastic. Did you see Black Swan?
I have seen the majority of Black Swan. Actually.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if we watched it together, but it's just a good old fashioned pirate movie. Yes, pirates. For all those at home watching that know that I am obsessed. Pirates. So, we highly recommend this movie, and it's a shame that no one saw it. And
I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. If you're looking for a happy ending, you're looking for a feel-good movie, don't see this.
Okay.
This is not a happy film by any stretch of the imagination.
This is a movie.
It is dark and horrible the whole time. And there is no happiness or joy. It is just, it's rotten people in rotten situations doing rotten things. And it's very poetic. It kind of plays off it's really cool. It's really cool. People who enjoy complex movies definitely see it.
Yeah, I guess so. This would be another instance where I want people to see it, but I don't know if I can recommend it to everybody. Like The Green Knight, right. Where that's just so weird and bizarre that I don't know.
People who want the happy-go-lucky, yay, the hero wins in the end type of movie. This isn't it.
Yeah, I mean this is definitely
this isn't Marvel.
No, and this isn't Marvel, but it's also not another great film that I really love, The Lighthouse. It's definitely not The Lighthouse.
Huh?
So yeah,
I just watched that last night, and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, we did watch The Lighthouse last night.
Rang in the new year with
Happy
Willem
New
Dafoe
Year.
jerking off to a lighthouse.
Hey, beauty, I just spill your beans. Tea. But everyone, have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hopefully this one doesn't suck.